Ryan Smith in for Vinny Politan. Welcome to Prime News. Well, it seems like every day there is a new development in the scandal surrounding the Miramonte School in Los Angeles. Parents of students at this California school are wondering what will happen when their kids return to class tomorrow. The superintendent of Los Angeles schools relocated the entire staff at the Miramonte Elementary indefinitely after an abuse scandal surfaced. Tonight, police are looking into two new teachers, one allegedly for having sex with a student, according to the Los Angeles Times, another for sending a love letter to a student. But so far, only 2 arrests. This guy you see right here, Mark Burnt, cops say he took bondage photos of more than 24 of his students. And according to the Los Angeles Times, just this afternoon, cops found 200 new photos that Burnt took allegedly of his students. The Times citing police sources that the pictures were recovered from a drugstore. Also charged Martin Springer, he's accused of fondling a girl in the classroom. Parents understandably upset, but it's not just about the actions of these 2 educators. It's because their kids' lives at school are now turned upside down. New teachers, new staff, all this going on in the middle of the year. So we're thinking not only about the parents, but the students and what their response is to all this. In Los Angeles, with me joining us tonight, Luis Carrillo. He's an attorney for some of the victims in this case. And Luis, great to have you with us. Now, Luis, talk to us about your clients. You, as I understand it, are representing about 10 of the victims. You're possibly meeting with some others. What are the victims and the parents telling you about what they're going through?
Well, you can imagine that the parents have been horrified to hear what this man was doing with their children. They're absolutely devastated. It was a great shock to them. They're in anger, and they really want justice. They seek justice, not only because this man did so much damage, but because the school district permitted this damage to be done to the children. You have to remember that way back in the school year 90 and 91, parents came forward to complain about Burnt. Another child came forward in 94 to complain about Burnt. The school principal, administrators, the school district ignored these warning bells, ignored these signs, hints of trouble, big alarms of trouble. And because they ignored it, this empowered this man to continue doing his evil deeds.
So your clients, when did they come forward, and what did the school district say? How did they get to talk about what was happening, or did they know this was going on? Did they have any sense?
None of my clients knew anything about what was going on, because you have to remember, sheriff's detectives interviewed many children without notifying the parents. The school administrators did not notify the parents that teacher Burnt was under investigation, and the school administrators and the principal never informed the parents that some of the children had been interviewed by detectives. But it all falls squarely on the lap of the Los Angeles Unified School District, the administrators, the superintendent, everybody who fell asleep at the wheel, who were negligent in protecting the children. And because they failed miserably in the professional responsibilities to protect the children, we had a pervert roaming through the school, selecting victims for his sexual perversions. And that's why the Los Angeles School District has to be held responsible, accountable for this damage, this enormous damage that has been done to so many parents and so many children, innocent children.
Well, I can't believe that. One thing I can't believe is that they were talking to children, not talking to the parents. I got to think a lot of parents would have taken their kids out of school immediately upon finding that out. But let me ask you this. There's another case against this man, Martin Springer. He's alleged to have done lewd acts with children under 14. And there were 2 girls originally that come forward, as I'm hearing it. One recanted. As I understand it, you represent the other young girl who is remaining. How does that recantation, which we just learned about today, how does that affect the charges that may be levied against Springer?
I'm unaware of the recantation.
Okay.
I know one of my clients was interviewed by detectives. In that case, was interviewed by detectives yesterday. But I want to bring to your attention something else. Mm-hmm. Back in July of 2009, there was a different parent that came to the school to complain about love letters that were sent by a teacher's assistant to her 11-year-old son. And the same pattern in practice that the school, the principal, and the superintendent and the school district followed in the prior years of 1990, 91, 94 was continued in 2009, because this parent was brushed off, and she had the love letters, one love letter in particular, where the teacher assistant talked about having chills being next to her son, and the school ignored her. The sheriff's department looked at the letters and they ignored the letters. So we have joint responsibility in that case of the sheriff's department, the school district ignoring the parents' legitimate complaints.
Luis, very quickly here, some of your clients, as I understand it, their children are going back to the school with a completely new staff. What are you telling them? And tell me this very quickly. What are you telling them about how to get through the process of having maybe suffered some of this abuse, yet having to go back to the school and continue their education?
Well, you have to remember that a lot of kids are traumatized by what happened in the past. Now there's an additional emotional burden of having a whole new set of staff. And so the kids are in a very vulnerable position, and they didn't have to be put in this vulnerable position if the administrators and the school district were vigilant and were protective of the children, and they failed miserably in protecting the children. That's why so many victims will be filing lawsuits against these administrators, this district.
All right, Luis, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Now, folks, coming up next, a chilling 911 calls are released from the